Well, good evening, everybody. A chaotic night. Welcome to 4-0 Thursday Live. It's a little bit unusual for us to be here on a Thursday evening, but we are here nonetheless, and we're here alongside these wonderful gentlemen. A very warm welcome to Mike. Can I close people off? Or everyone's all... No, that's okay. A very good evening to Mike, Barney. Welcome to Jack as well. Who's there. We should say a massive thank you to Jack, because he literally jumped off a stream about 5 minutes ago to jump on another one to come and join us this evening. So a massive thank you to you. And Sam also joins us from... It's Breaking Media, Sam. Have they been bought out or something, or have you changed jobs?
No. It's the same job, mate. Yeah,
it's the same job.
You've nailed that. Yeah,
I've nailed it. Spot on. Bit of research gets you a long way. Welcome to Sam as well. We've got a full panel on the stream this evening. We've got more joining us later on as well. I've also got 249 of you that join us across YouTube and Facebook this evening. So welcome. Thank you for being with us, and a very warm welcome. We do have some news you may or may not have seen, but a certain John Mousinho is almost destined to be joining Pompey. Barney alerted me to a message that I've been alerted to earlier on this evening about the fact that he's pretty much in the building, good to go. So it looks pretty nailed on. Sam, we'll come to you first, mate. Chaotic day today. Sort of midday, my phone started going a little bit mental with messages and Twitter notifications, etc., etc. Bit of a late show, but it transpires we might have been speaking to him for a little bit longer. What's your initial reaction? John Mousinho is your new head coach at Pompey.
Well, first of all, Tom, I'm just going to start with a different topic. Obviously, thoughts all going to anyone related to Anton Walks. That one hit home a little bit for me. He's the same age as me, and it's just, completely shocked, and all the Pompey family send their love. So, that's the first thing to start on. But, I mean... I think, from my perspective, mate, I think if I'm probably talking for a lot of fans here, but the initial thought I'm thinking is I'm slightly underwhelmed, and also wasn't expecting it as well. Clearly a man who's highly thought of, and we've heard some good things about, but this is a real sink or swim appointment from Richard Hughes, and he's kind of gone in all guns blazing and really laid down what he thinks is the best way for the club to move forward. And if it goes wrong, we know where all the criticism and all the questions will be directed. So those are my initial thoughts. It's a risky appointment, but we're all going to get behind him. We're going to get behind any manager who's going to take the job. Obviously, a lot of questions need to be asked about how long this appointment took to make. And obviously, there's rumours saying he was only contacted yesterday. So it begs the question, what have they been doing for the last 2 weeks? Considering we've got 3 games coming up in the matter of a week, and the amount of days he's going to have to train with the players. So there's a lot of questions need to be asked, but this could be an appointment that really works out. I've just been listening to a podcast by Not the Top 20 podcast, really recommend it, but there's an Oxford fan who runs it, George Ellick, and he talks really highly of him, but he was saying he was expecting him to maybe get a lower League One job potentially first, maybe Burton Albion or something like that, because he's been linked with that club before. So for him to land the Pompey job, it's a great opportunity for him. But there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to succeed.
I'm glad you mentioned Anton Walks. So we're going to do a bit of a tribute about 7:30 this evening and go through some of our Pompey memories. Let's get through some of these comments. Good evening to Regan, who said, can it get any worse than it already is? People got to start from somewhere. Scotch is not a Pompey fan. He said, good luck, Pompey. Hope you turn your form around only until you play Wednesday. Biley said, I'm disgusted by this appointment. We, the fans, are being trolled by the Eisners. Complete lack of ambition for the world to see and mock us. And Joe has said, only Pompey would hold interviews for experienced managers, then appoint a League One centre-back as a manager with no experience. Talking about a League One centre-back, Jack, you have seen him play. For people who may not know, I'm sure people know, but Jack is a big Oxford United fan. And this is perfect news for us because we already do a lot of bits and pieces together on YouTube. But what a perfect topic to bring you in on. What can Pompey fans expect from their supposed, we're led to believe, new head coach in John Mousinho?
I mean, the bottom line is I don't really know. That's really, really weird. A lot of people have messaged me all day sort of saying, what do I think of John Mousinho? And it's like, as a centre-back, he's a really good leader. And I think what I do know is I think as a communicator, as a leader, he is really, really good. I think he has spoken really well. When Robinson's had one of his infamous touchline bans, Mousinho has come in and I think done what a manager in that sense, or a caretaker interim manager for a game or two, as you'd expect to do, sort of speak in the media, really, really. I think cleverly, really. I think he actually does seem really switched on in that sense. He seems to be really intelligent. He's young. He's exciting. But again, we don't know what he's like as a coach. I mean, the problem is, and the big issue here is he's our set piece coach. He is our set piece coach. He is still available to play games. He could face Ipswich or could play against Ipswich. He wouldn't, but he could on Saturday for us. He scored against MK Dons earlier this season. That does show you that you've gone with somebody who's extremely inexperienced. He has done his pro license, which is a positive. So again, he has been sort of juggling that. He has got those sort of licensing, which is important. He is also the PFA chair as well, so clearly highly rated by players in that sense. So again, he has got that. I think you know what? Again, I get it. It is uninspiring, but compared to who you're with, I think that's important to say as well. If you compare it to Chris Wilder, it's crazy. But I think it's an opportunity for him and he's got to take it. I didn't think he'd get this sort of chance. I don't think anybody thought he'd get this kind of chance, but he has got it now. It looks like he is going to get it. And he's got to show that, he's ready to make what is a huge step up.
433 people join us across YouTube and Facebook. I'm going to add one more to the Wix and welcome Alex Hayward to the stream. Mike, I'll come to you. You've been making some pointers and making some notes about how you see the news from today and how you reflect on what's happened. What do you reckon? What are your thoughts? We had a little chat off camera. I'm assuming you're going to basically mirror exactly what you said, but how do you reflect on it and how do you see it as an appointment?
I see it as a risky appointment. Obviously, I think everybody would see that quite easily. A strange one, really, to go from somebody who's not even been mentioned in the previous, 17 days or whatever it has been, to suddenly appear as a name on the door. And perhaps there was reasons why he couldn't be interviewed before. There may be that. We don't know. Until it comes out of the mix what's actually happened on this appointment. I've got various issues regarding this. Is because Hughes obviously knows what he wants, and obviously that they put faith in Hughes. It's more, I would say, his signing than it would be Cullen and the rest of the full board, who all have to ratify the fact that he's going to be our next manager. So it's not just Andrew Cullen. There's Catlin there. There's the Eisners there. There's what's his name, Andy. What's his name from Tournai? So Andy Redmond. So they would have all been discussing this. It's not just one person that's made this decision. But my strange thing is that why have we gone for this guy and not Ian Foster? Was it down to interview techniques? Mr. Foster didn't give a good interview. I can't see that. I reckon he would have done. And with his connections that he's got through most of the Premiership clubs, I would say, and even some of the other Championship, maybe even League One clubs, that he'd have contact, because he's bringing these players in to do the England setup and play for them from various places around the country. So he would have contact. He doesn't just manage them. He would obviously say what sort of player would be good for his team. I mean, went on to have the success still having the success in the England setup. So it's just strange from me why they've gone for the Oxford guy. He's I can't see anything. I mean, he's a playing defender. Well, all right, he's only played 6 games or whatever it was this year, but he hasn't played recently, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, I just find it quite strange. And things are getting very toxic on social media since this was mentioned at lunchtime, and there's some people that are on a couple of the Facebook things that I've read today. The same people keep coming up and stirring it, and it's their names that are appearing, and it's not good for the club. It's not good for us, because we have got to get behind him. If he is the man, we've got to get behind him. There can't be any ifs and buts. We just got to get behind him. If anybody goes there on Saturday and he's in charge, or he's sat in the stands and has a go, I think that is wrong at the moment. You can't do that. It's being blinkered.
Kane has said, I'm on board with this signing. It's very, very risky, but fresh ideas I'm all up for. I want to see him succeed because we are bleeding money. The appointment is made and he's got my support. We will see. Leo said, I thought the club would have gone with the experience over youth with this appointment. I guess not. Mousinho, not for me. I'm sure he's a great lad, but we need experience more than anything. Scott on One as well said, I think we have to be realistic. We are a League One team. The chances of us attracting a huge name is 0 these days. I don't know Mousinho, so we'll wait for judgment. Bilton, I think this is in agreement with what you were saying there, Mike. Laughable reaction for the fans. Obviously not hired on a whim. Cullen and Hughes would have done their due diligence in recruitment. Is a big risk, though. Can't deny that. Daniel said the club were never looking for a manager. They want to operate with Richard Hughes as director and a new head coach. Cowley was always called head coach, never manager. Barney, let's come to you. Good evening. Sorry it's taken us 10, 15 minutes to get round to you, but such is the nature of these streams at the moment. It seems very busy. I wanted to actually talk to you about Blackpool. Do we look across at Blackpool and the smooth, swift and shrewd action that they've taken in the last 24 hours to de-appoint and reappoint? And maybe, as Sam said at the top of that was a disaster sentence. Sam said at the top of the show. What did Sam
sort
say?
it out, Tom?
Oh, this is a shocker, isn't it? This is live for you, everybody. Sam said at the top of the show about why has it taken us 2 weeks to get to this point? What's been going on in the Pompey recruitment department?
Yeah, I think we said it on the last live on Sunday, that it was an odd one to see the Cowleys go with no plan in place. It wasn't that bad. Granted, form was bad and so on, but it wasn't horrendous. We've had some really, really good days under the Cowleys, some fantastic performances as recently as against Ipswich at home. You know, if the players can do that with the Cowleys, if the board wanted to make a change, they should have waited. They shouldn't have got rid of the Cowleys until the replacement was ready, which is what it looks like Blackpool and most clubs these days do. You don't tend to see interim managers very often these days, not unless something drastic's gone wrong, like Bournemouth with I forgot his name, the old manager.
Scott Parker.
Scott Parker, thank you, all of you. You know, obviously he had the falling out. he had some sort of falling out with the club, the board, and so on, and they've dismissed him more on like due to behaviour or whatever. So yeah, it is an odd one. I support the previous comments that I think we just need to get behind whoever gets appointed. As long as it's not Kenny Jackett, we just need to be positive that the club's moving forward. Someone young, fresh ideas, as we've already said as well, you know, someone that's been backed to be the head of the PFA. That's got to be an enormous statement on his personality.
Absolutely. Hayward, welcome. Dave had said we must be the only club to sack a manager and replace him with someone worse. I put in the group chat earlier on. It's a little bit of a reactive comment, perhaps, but what have we done to deserve this over Danny and Nicky Cowley with what we had? I feel like it's a step backward in terms of an appointment. What do you reckon? What are your reflections?
It's really tough. I don't really know how people can make a judgment on it without seeing, you know, the guy in charge or anyone for that matter. I agree totally with Mike. You know, you've got to back anyone that comes in. It's our football club. I don't see how we can just be writing people off from kind of day one and minute one. Obviously, I mean, I spoke to you earlier in the day and I said, you know, the patience obviously will wear maybe slightly thinner than an experienced boss, because I think that a lot of patience is earned in football. If you go and win a lot of trophies or you know, win a lot of games in a certain place, you get a bit more patience at the next place you go. But why can't it be, from a positive point of view, why can't it be similar to the Plymouth appointment? You know, I said to you earlier that Schumacher was never anything other than an assistant before that, and look how he's doing. It's not a thing that's definitely going to be, you know, a negative and not go well. Obviously, maybe chances of it going better, you know, might be slimmer than if you employed someone that's got kind of track record and history. But I really don't know how people can think going to a game, you know, on the weekend or wherever and not backing the manager is ever going to be a good thing. You know, we're Pompey fans, we're all the same. We've just got to kind of get behind him and show him the support that we you know, supposedly have as Portsmouth fans.
Absolutely, yeah. Best fans in the world needs to really ring true now, doesn't it? This is the time to shine. Welcome to the 503 people that join us across YouTube and Facebook. Be sure to leave the stream a like if you're enjoying the conversation this evening. Make sure you get in touch in the live chat down below as well. Just like Ash has. He said, sorry, Tom, I don't want to be negative, but this is such an uninspiring appointment. I'm actually annoyed by this. Waited 16 days for this. Not good. Tony said, I want Eisner to sell the club. There must be someone out there with actual ambition. Tired of same old I don't know what he was going to say there, but there we go. I'm assuming it would have been like mediocrity, maybe. That's my guess, but there we go. Cornish Pompey said, my personal thoughts are that the board have tried to fine-tune a perfect appointment and ran out of options. Maybe scared them off, not sure what to think. Sam, is there any light that you can shed on the situation in terms of whether it went wrong, whether there was a fall through, whether, you know, I know we're merely speculating with little detail or concrete, but people turning down the job. We know a lot of managers, Liam Richardson, Darryl Clark, sort of pulling themselves out of the running for it. Does this scream to you of a cheap option that we've kind of gone, right, no one else wants it, so let's give it to this geezer? Or is there a little bit more to it than that?
I think that's really hard to say, because I don't know if we go back to when Kenny Jackett was sacked, and it felt like every day there was a new manager being linked to the job, and it wasn't just the bookies, the betting markets. It was, the news actually coming out with concrete evidence. We had Daniel Stendhal, who was linked with the job quite heavily at one point. There was a few other names chucked in there. I think it was who's the Gillingham manager now, ex-Millwall guy. Name skips my head. Completely forgotten his name. Neil Harris. Yeah, Neil Harris is quite heavily linked with it. So, but those were actually concrete rumours. Whereas now, this manager hunt, there hasn't really been anything come out up until today. Obviously, there was a few things about Liam Manning here and there, but the club have done really well to keep it quiet. And I don't necessarily know if that's because there wasn't actually anything to say or there wasn't anything going on behind the scenes. But for me, I do think it's a good thing that it was kind of kept quiet. But and the narratives on Twitter, I've been getting quite annoyed with the amount of people who pretend they know stuff when actually they don't have a clue. And it does, it's almost, put a bad spin on things before someone's even got the job. So it doesn't really help from a fan's perspective anyway. But yeah, it's an interesting appointment. If I was Mousinho though, you've got to look at this and you jump at it. You jump at the chance. I mean, for me now, I've said this to you on Saturday, Tom, when I got clipped and put all over YouTube or over Twitter, but I think this season's done now. I mean, as long as we avoid relegation, that's obviously the main priority. But for him, he's going to come in, try and steady the ship a little bit. But it's a great opportunity. Apart from Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, Derby, Pompey, this is the biggest job in League One. And some Pompey fans will even debate that we're bigger than some of them clubs. So this is a great opportunity for him. And it will take some courage from him to take the job, because we're not in a good position at the moment. And if he does take the job, I think that says a lot about his character, especially. So yeah, I mean, good luck to him. He's a braver man than me, that's for sure.
Are you concerned by the amount of people that seem to turn it down, Sam, and the fact that it's come to this point in terms of this kind of big punt on a chap that, with respect, is unproved, and you've given this guy the opportunity when he's not even managed a football club before?
The honest answer is yes. I mean, as Mike mentioned earlier with Ian Foster, for me, I thought Ian Foster was nailed on. I thought that would be a really smart appointment. I think that would be along the lines of a McKenna to Ipswich, because obviously McKenna was, Man United's head coach, assistant coach or whatnot. So, he's come from a lot of experience, where Mousinho's come from being Oxford. He's had his UEFA A license for 6 months. There's quite a big difference there. So that I would say that, but yeah, for me, Ian Foster was the one. So that's why I can't quite get my head around why he hasn't been given the job, because he would be under that similar mould. But I will say as well, obviously, when we first started, I think when Cowley first got sacked, I think I said to you that Liam Richardson would be the one for me. But as it's kind of gone on, I have kind of moved away from that. Getting an experienced coach in, because it hasn't worked for us. Cowley was a championship manager. I know he didn't go well from Huddersfield, but he was. Kenny Jackett, we had been around the block before he got the Pompey job, and we haven't been promoted. So for me, going down this route is a good route to go down. It has worked before. Neil Critchley got Blackpool promoted with his first job in management. Michael Beale's just got the Rangers job off the back of the QPR job. That was his first job in management. Obviously, we've got Schumacher and McKenna both excelling. So I do think it's a good route to go down. But I potentially would have gone for, an Ian Foster instead of John Mousinho, just because of the experience that someone like Foster's had as he's kind of developed his coaching career.
Thanks, Sam. Massitude said, while initially this appointment might be very weak, how many times have we hired proven managers who've got clubs promoted but never done that for us? The Travelling Tates have said, I understand that you want to say we can't write someone off, but that's like me owning a restaurant, sacking the head chef and bringing in someone who doesn't know how to cook. Come on. David on Facebook said, if the rumours are true and John Mousinho is appointed, as many Pompey fans, I would hope he can bring the success we all desperately yearn for. The whole process seems very strange and alarmingly slow, leaving little time for any serious transfer activity in the current window. The owners are taking a huge risk, which, if unsuccessful, could well see their own position under severe pressure. I think that's absolutely spot on from that chap there. Pompey Kev Mitchell said, Tom, there's no ambition. Get rid of Cullen. If we sign Cameron Brannigan, it will be forgiven. A little bit of a shake of the head from the Oxford chap. Cheap owners rhetoric is doing my head in. Club publish the accounts every year. Read them for yourself and you will see. Our budget is currently 2 million more than Plymouth per annum. At the end of the day, this is a very difficult job for a manager. He's going to have no player budget and the wage bill seems to be slashed every year since we've been promoted. Foster could have been crucial with recruitment, would have attracted a lot of English youngsters, and he could have got the best out of Scarlett. And Foster would have been waiting for would have been decent. I can't believe we haven't taken that opportunity. Budget is ridiculous and will get us relegated. Barney, what have you made of the reaction of the fan base today? And obviously you're speaking to 526 potential Pompey fans, so we'll be careful with what you say on that. But it's difficult, isn't it? If you were coming into the job, or if one of us was coming into the job, to have such an overwhelmingly negative response, which is kind of the way that I've judged it, at least today. And I have to admit that my own personal reception to it wasn't particularly positive about the whole thing. I don't think anyone was. Luckily, you start to see people kind of mellow and now go, right, let's get behind him. You know, they've made disappointment. We need to crack on. But to come into a place, yes, it's a high risk and Pompey fans are going to react to that. But to have such a reception coming into a job that you haven't even started yet must be a little bit of a daunting ordeal for him.
Daunting probably doesn't even begin to sum it up. Pompey fans can be known for being incredibly positive, can get behind the team, the 12th man, the famous Frattinen, but they do like to boo. Look how many times that clip has gone trending from when we lost to Ipswich, of the we've got the ball, we've lost the ball. You know, we like to be negative. We can be funny with it, but it's a tough one for him. As I mentioned earlier, he's got a big character. I saw Ryan, Three Lads in the Pub, retweet a video from Soccer AM from a few years ago of Mousinho dancing around at Stevenage. If that's the kind of personality we're getting, he probably doesn't give a single what the fans think. He's just there to get results. He's there for him. This is a massive opportunity that he's going to take. He's got to jump at an opportunity for a club like Portsmouth to come along and ask for him. Why would you say no to that in his shoes? So he's probably not going to pay attention to the fans.
We've got a few more bits and pieces to cover this evening. Obviously, the majority of what we're talking about tonight is going to be Mousinho based, which is absolutely right. We'll get on to a couple of other little bits and pieces that I wanted to get through as well. Jack, I had a tweet fired at me this afternoon, which made me laugh. Was that it's a GIF of something, and it said Tom preparing for tonight's 4-0 stream, and it just said, "Oh, I found it from Google." So I've been doing due diligence. Mousinho's played under Carl Robertson, Nigel Clough, Graham Wesley, Simon Grayson, Martin Allen, Terry Butcher. He's got experience as a captain at 3 previous clubs, not least your club, Oxford United. Whatever people think, whatever people's opinion out there this evening, and anyone out there tonight who's kind of either for or against this, should be thinking it can't be argued that Mousinho will bring a dressing room presence, and that might have been lacking, and considering the last couple of weeks in terms of confidence that Pompey have had. And that can only be a good thing. How do you reflect on his personal attributions that you've seen at Oxford?
No, I said it before. I think he's going to bring fresh ideas, and I think what that Portsmouth club. I watched the videos that you produce. I've watched a lot of Portsmouth really this season, especially now we've seen that since the turn of where it's gone quite wrong and where Danny Cowley eventually did lose his job. The players need something a little bit different. They need to be lifted. They need some refreshing ideas and something that just a little bit new, and unfortunately that is of course that Danny Cowley's had to lose his job for that, and it looks like John Mousinho is going to have an opportunity to provide that. And like we said earlier in the stream, this is a huge opportunity for him, and he'd be absolutely stupid not to take it, because he's going from a player that isn't playing because of his age. He is coming to the end of his playing career. I've seen a lot of people speak about, he's a player. I mean, he would have retired at the end of the season, and he would have probably gone on to being a coach. He probably would have been given a permanent coaching role at Oxford, if not gone and managed another football club. I didn't think it was going to be this early. I don't think he thought it was going to be this early, but it's a huge opportunity for him, and he's now got a chance to come in. And he's got some serious. He's going to have some bottle about him, because he's going to be fully aware. He's not going to be a stupid man. He's going to know that this isn't the most incredible appointment on face value. But his job's going to come in, get a different tune out of these players, play much better football than what we've seen in recent weeks, get those results turned around. And I think expectation management is going to be the most important thing as well. He needs to know the expectation isn't, in the long term, it's probably quite high. But this season, I know your owners were speaking about a playoff push in the second half of the season. That could be slightly unrealistic. But he still knows he's got to come in and see a big improvement, or see at least some improvement, which really isn't too difficult after what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. But he's young, he's up and coming. I think Pompey have gone down the route of developing a coach as well as developing players. And if they are going down that route, then John Mousinho definitely ticks that box. Again, you'd have to pay a compensation fee. I've seen a couple of people say it's a cheap option. I mean, you are going to have to pay a compensation fee for John Mousinho. He's under contract at the moment, so there will be a slight fee when it comes to that. I understand on weekly wage it won't be as much as a Chris Wilder, for example. But yeah, no one knows. No one knows. And I was saying this earlier on the video that I did. A good appointment, it's really difficult to judge until you see them actually manage a game of football. We could all make our opinions right now, and the CV, it doesn't absolutely jump off the table. But he's got an opportunity to prove himself, and this is hopefully the chance where fans can get behind him, and no matter what the other options were, this is the reality now, and let's see what happens.
Good evening to the 536 people who join us across YouTube and Facebook. If you could leave the stream a like this evening, if you're enjoying what we're putting together for you, we've got plenty of Pompey opinion. We've got one who's about to join us now. In fact, we'll chuck him in now. Why not? Welcome to Aaron, everybody. Thank you for there he is. There we go. Everyone's night is now much brighter than it already was. We've got an Oxford United fan here with us. Jack has just been telling us all about John Mousinho. Got a nice split, really. I'm delighted that we've got Jack with us because it means that we can actually get a bit of an inside track when otherwise it'd be a little bit of guesswork from the rest of the gents on the stream. We'll just get through a few comments that will come straight to Aaron. Ritter said, only time will tell, gents. We all judge the predecessors incorrectly, so let's get behind the lads and a new coach. It's a new era. Jamie said Saturday will be hostile and not nice at all. The owners in Cullen are going to get slaughtered, and rightly so. What about all the ambition the owners talked about at the Guildhall seems complete with this? Am I reading that wrong? Seems complete with this appointment. I can think about what he's trying to make the point there. Leo said maybe it's a leader we need for this season, someone who can pick up the players. But is he the guy to take us forward? For me, I don't think so. But I hope I'm proven wrong. Aaron, is John Mousinho the guy to take us forward? What do you think?
Well, I've only actually known for about 3 hours because I left my phone at home today. So it's just like, what the hell is going on? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I think quite a few people are going to be angry, frustrated, which is understandable because everyone wants that big signing. But yeah, I think we should give this guy a go. I think I've tried to do a little bit of research. He's the head of PFA or something, isn't he? Yeah. So he must be doing something right if he's chairman and that. So yeah, I know everyone's going to be frustrated, but I think we should just give him a chance. Give him a chance. Here it goes. But I just hope he does something quick because otherwise we're going to be fighting a relegation battle, and he doesn't want that. I've seen in the comments, we don't want to be fighting going into League Two in his first job and everything. So it's like, yeah, it's going to be hostile Saturday and everything, but we just got to give him a go. I really don't know much about him, so like I've only seen last 3 hours, so it's just like, what is going on? I thought Wilder was coming, then I thought the drinks were on Foster. It was like, yeah, so it's just like, what's going on? Yeah,
bit of a shock. Don's Switch Lighter said, I think we'll be back to this by December. I don't think this is a good appointment. I hope most of us eat our words. Isis being cheap again. MK1 Aquatic, who's always very vocal on Fournilwrittenalloverit, says, feel sorry for this bloke, relegation to League Two in his first job and all the abuse he'll get. Not his fault, it's the Isons who deserve the abuse for the utter mess they've made. Cameron said, as someone that is currently a player in the league, it already gives him insight into the standards of the league and knowledge of the teams and players will be facing. Argyle Army has come in with a £9 donor. He says, good evening, Tom, popping in. Surprised if his name pulled out the hat. I'm sure we'll take well to it from what I've heard. Look forward to seeing you lads in Feb. Now, Argyle Army, Archie, I Snapchat most mornings, so he needs to start. I'm going to speak to him in the morning and send him to stop spending money on Fournilwrittenalloverit.
He wouldn't be doing it if we were doing better than Plymouth in the league. It would be far less than $9.99.
Yeah, this is it. That's it. I'd be spending the money on whatever he puts together, wouldn't I? Absolutely. Yeah. But thank you very much for that, Archie. Really appreciate it. Ollie said, I think especially with an appointment like this, we need to bring in a strong backroom staff. Mike, what would you say to that? Backroom staff-wise is obviously kind of the making of a lot of managers. Paul Cook had it with Liam Richardson at Pompey, and obviously the Danny and Nicky combo worked well with a head coach and an assistant. Who does he bring in?
That is what I've been thinking, maybe been the delay. He obviously is coming in. He hasn't got any backroom staff of his own particularly. So is he pulling people from other clubs or even from Oxford, which won't upset our chap in the bottom right down there? But if that's the case, then you've got to talk about compensation for them or people that are attached to other clubs. That could be one of the reasons for the delay in going forward with it, because people are going to be asking him at the press conference, who's coming in with you? Who's going to be helping you? That again could cause a meltdown on social media again, which we don't particularly want. As I said in my last section, that we do need to get behind this guy, where regardless of what he's done before, we need to push on. Yeah, perhaps it's too late for the playoffs. I think it is now. I just would like to think that we could give a good go to get as high as we can. Once we've got this bloke playing, we're playing the way that this man wants us to do. Yeah, it's a tough call about who's going to be his people. Oh, by the way, the man's just walked back in and he's just coming to join me. So
He's on his way. While we do the little changeover, we've obviously got other stuff to address. Good evening, Brendan. Welcome. I'll be right back with you in a moment. Sam mentioned it at the top of the show. Sham sadly had to shoot off the football, but that's why I gave him a double-barreled question to everyone else on the stream. Apologies for doing that, because we always like to get around the group as quickly as we possibly can. We had some really sad news earlier on today. It's been a really busy day and a chaotic day from a Pompey point of view. But I think the news we had just after lunch today really kind of puts things into perspective. Earlier on today, we were all shocked and really heartbroken to hear that Anton Walks has died at the age of just 25 following a boat crash in South Florida on Wednesday. Anton passed away this morning, having been found unconscious at the scene of the accident. He received CPR from Miami's Fire and Rescue Service. As well as an appearance here on the channel, we will all remember Anton for his fantastic contribution to the 2018-19 season, in which we lifted the EFL trophy. He also scored this peach of a goal away at Fleetwood and was an incredibly popular member of the dressing room. He made 66 appearances for Pompey in all competitions and scored on his debut in a 2-2 draw against Doncaster in February 2018. All of our thoughts here on the channel are with Anton's family and friends at what is such a difficult time. That's Anton Walks, who sadly passed away today, earlier on at the age of just 25. Brendan, sorry to jump you in on such a sombre point, but I know you'll have many reflections and happy days following Pompey with Anton Walks in the side. As I mentioned, they're part of the EFL trophy winning side under Kenny Jackett in 2018-19. Such terrible, terrible news today.
It is. Yeah, very shocked when I first read it. I couldn't believe it. Again, another sadly a former Pompey player has passed away, especially with the reflections we're going to have this weekend with Ace and Steve Max passing as well. But yeah, Anton was a very good player, very professional in the way he carried himself and his performances for the club. Dug in really well and scored some very good goals for us, and always performed to very high standards. Set obviously coming from a Premier League academy and then come to Pompey. So yeah, I'm very sad, and rest in peace, Anton. No, you'll always be in our thoughts.
I always thought he was fantastic on his day, Anton Walks. He's very dependable, number 2 as well. Barney, you obviously cover a lot of the MLS stuff on some social bits that you do. So you might be able to tell us a little bit more of what Anton's career looked like post-Pompey.
Yeah, I think any club he's played for, the fan base can't say he's anything but passionate. Atlanta were big fans of him. Of course, he was on loan at Atlanta before us, and then went back to Atlanta after. I believe he'd created a family out there on his first trip and decided to want to return out there. It was what I believe I've read in the past. So, but a lot of the comments online I've seen amongst the MLS community has been that, he, as I said, he's just very passionate guy, committed to whatever club he played for. Got drafted to Charlotte once they were founded a couple of years ago. And it's been a big part of their team and their growth in their inaugural couple of seasons. So, yeah, very sad loss. We sort of affectionately refer to him as MLS when he played for us because of his time at Atlanta before Pompey. And as a player, I'll always had kept an eye on. One of the sort of players I followed on FOTMUP just because of the link with Pompey and my obvious love for MLS. So, yeah, very sad.
Lot of tributes coming in for Anton Walks in the comment section down below as well. Aaron, what are your reflections on Anton playing for Pompey? I said there in the piece, 66 appearances, and he scored a couple of corkers.
Yeah, he did. He was a fantastic bloke. But there's one little story I can actually bring. When I used to bring Reece down when he was a lot little than he is now, we actually, because we used to sit in the family stand. So we were going to the club shop and this car comes zooming around the corner, almost knocked me and Reece over. So I'm swearing at the actual, I'm not going to say what I said. So I'm swearing in it in the window. Then all of a sudden it's Anton Walks and sitting there. It's like, oh, careful, mate, careful. And then during the game, we're actually in the family stand, and then we're shouting, come on. And he's standing there looking at me going, you're the idiot that shouted at me. He was going to punch my head in. So, and like I told Reece tonight, he goes, oh, that's the one that almost ran us over. I said, yeah. He goes, oh, R.I.P. Thoughts and prayers with the family. He was good. Shocked that he went to the MLS, but yeah, he was a great bloke, and a tragic accident that happened.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, Hayward? He's he's just older than you. He's quite a fair bit older than me as well. It really, when it's been a busy, I put this in the chat earlier, it's been a busy day Pompey-wise. It kind of puts things into perspective, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, massively. Obviously, tragic accident, as Aaron says, and it's something you wouldn't wish on anyone. But yeah, it really puts it in perspective when he's just a little bit older than I am, and it's just crazy, really, to think that someone can be taken like that. But yeah, obviously good memories at Pompey. Had a really successful time here on the whole. And yeah, obviously it was a shame him going to MLS, so we didn't see a load of him after that. But yeah, obviously condolences and everything from the Pompey fans as they put on social media and stuff today.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so let's get back around the group then. I mentioned at a couple of minutes ago that we've got plenty still to get through here on the channel tonight. Brendan, we'll come back to you. I know you've been busy doing other media duties that obviously take precedent in front of Fournilwrittenalloverit, and we'll have to let that one slide. Good news, Owen Dale, Dane Scarlett, very likely to be Pompey players until the end of the season. I obviously want to get your reaction about the manager as well, but I thought that's worth a mention and important to note that's it's a bit of positivity today.
Definitely, it sort of retains the numbers in the squad, because you think when there's only 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks left transfer window, we're not likely to get bodies in. What it sounds like, not going to get many in. Having more bodies in the room is going to be much more helpful. And obviously Dale's very bright and a lot of energy and brings a lot to our attacking sense. And we all know there is a player in Scarlett to perform. And if hopefully Mousinho can get something out of him, if Mousinho confirms the job. But hopefully we can get a tune out of both of them, and both very bright young players.
We're pretty sure it is going to be him, Brendan, as Mousinho, as I'm sure you saw it. And I was speaking to Sam about this when he was on earlier on, that kind of it all went mental on my phone at midday. All of a sudden, who's this guy? Like, it's the Late Show kind of thing. There's obviously a little bit to suggest that it wasn't quite just yesterday that Pompey did contact him, although it doesn't feel like he was someone that they've been speaking from the start of this sort of 2.5-3 week process almost now. If he is the man to come in, what do you make of it, and how do you assess Pompey's chances heading into the last tail end of this season?
Well, I was saying to Adam Blackmore, I said it's a big punt. It really is, to get somebody who's sort of still an active player and sort of player coach at Oxford, to come out of his role as a player to come be a manager at a different squad. It's not like you're promoting him from within to be like the manager, like we did with Stevie Claridge back in the day. It's completely different. You're bringing somebody else in to his first job. It's a bit of a difference from everyone saying, "Oh, Wilder, Foster, Manning," and now it's somebody who's going into their first ever job, it is a gamble. Look, I'm going to back him 100%. He'll be the man for the job, and there's no point getting on his back already. You need to give him time, and and hopefully he can give the players this bounce. I've noticed that we're not very good at defending set pieces this year, so I'm hoping he can sort that out at the back. So now he's a set piece coach at Oxford, isn't he? So that's his role.
Absolutely. Billy has very kindly donated a £5. He said, Portsmouth, the gift that keeps on giving. So here's a little back, joking aside. Well done with the channel, Tom. I do enjoy your camaraderie. I hope you've been enjoying it this evening, Billy. Much appreciated on the donation. And we should say that there's absolutely no need to pay for Fournilwrittenalloverit. These guys don't get paid, so I don't think you should have to pay for it. There we go. Barclay said, not sure if this has been mentioned, but a member of the board has said that either Foster or Manning turned us down. I suspect due to budget constraints, and Tornante also rejected a recommendation. We'll come back on a couple of other bits and pieces tonight that I want to get through. Speaking about a goalkeeper that we're hopefully going to be getting over the line in the next 24 hours before the deadline to play on Saturday for certain. Barney, I wanted to ask you about budget constraints and whether, in fact, maybe, I know Jack was telling us earlier on, and we'll speak to him again in a moment, about how this might not necessarily be the cheapest of cheap options, but it certainly screams cheaper than the likes of what Brennan was mentioned about Chris Wilder, etc. Does that free up a little bit of cash left in the pot to be spent on players coming in the next 10 days or so? What do you think?
Knowing our history, we're still going to be aiming at loan players, I can imagine. And as mentioned before as well, he's got to build a backroom team, doesn't he? A team of coaches to come with him. I can't imagine any of Danny's crew are going to hang around for any longer. We're supposed to have as big a budget as Plymouth, if not bigger, according to one of those comments. Not sure where that's come from, but if that's the case, then you feel that we are getting to that point where we do need to invest. We've had so many loanees coming in and out, the majority of which haven't been that successful. You know, Dane Scarlett's had a couple of really great performances, but has he lived up to the expectation? No, not really. Mourinho bigged him up. Maybe Mousinho's the man to make him to make him finally shine properly. But I think we need to get some championship level players. The ilk of Marlon Pack coming in, you know, players like him that've got the experience that can shake the team up from the core.
Absolutely. Jack, just for the benefit of people who may be joining us later in the stream, I know we've been going for 40 minutes or so. Jack's obviously an Oxford United fan, and I'm sure many people know that already, and he's just jumped off a stream of his own. So once you're done with us this evening, feel free to give that a watch back. I'm sure we get a little mention, and he might have said that he's coming on here when he's already been on there, so you'll be going back to watch him say he's coming on here. So it might be a little bit of a time warp and a bit of a confusion for you. A paradox, if I may. Jack, your thoughts on this chap coming in for the benefit of these people just arriving. You don't feel like you have to repeat yourself earlier on. But viewers tonight might be asking, who is this guy? Never heard of him before. Does he have credibility to manage Pompey, do you think?
That's difficult. It depends what people's... I guess it depends what people want to see as credibility for a Portsmouth manager. I mean, he is our set piece coach. He is a player coach, and he is somebody that's never managed a game of football in his life. So that's the facts. That's what you have to look at. Is he somebody that's highly rated within the football club Oxford United? Yes. Is he somebody that speaks very, very well and looks to, I think, for a long time, set to be a really, really good manager potentially in the future? I highlight the word future and emphasize that word. Yes, he has. Did he expect it to be this early? Probably not. But I will say this over and over again. This is an opportunity that he can't turn down. So no one can blame him for saying, yes, I'll take an opportunity like be a Portsmouth manager. He's arguably, I mean, people have their debates about John Mousinho potentially staying at Oxford United. A lot of people wanted that to happen. A lot of people wanted him to stay and potentially be the successor to Carl Robinson when he got sacked, or maybe when he left in the future. You have just appointed Carl Robinson's apprentice, though, so that's interesting. I know people got their thoughts on Carl Robinson. You have got somebody that's worked under Carl Robinson, so you might get a little bit of what you see from him, which I've just seen someone's face in there that described him, I believe, as the worst manager in league a couple of weeks ago. So it's all right. So it's all right.
Oh, that's well
it's not. So you've got his apprentice now. It could be better. It was Barney. I wasn't going to say his name, but you know, I thought I wanted to say that at least once in the stream. You have got somebody that's worked under him, so you could get maybe a better version or a worse version. You get a younger version, if that's any consolation. Yeah. But no, all jokes aside, look, I don't know what formation he's going to play. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you what type of playing style he's going to bring to your football club. I imagine it probably, and look, he probably will go to what he's used to, and also a lot of it is, what does this fit with the players you've got now? It probably will be similar to what you're going through in the short term, and then long term he's going to try and develop the way that he wants to play, with also maybe some of his players coming in, whether it's this window or the summer, if he gets to the summer, that is. So that like I say, in terms of people messaging me all day about what do I think about him, he was a good centre back. As a manager, I'm in the dark just as much as just as much as you are.
So if we are led to believe that he's Robinson's ball boy, and the last time we saw that in,
I wouldn't go that far. That's slightly disrespectful. I think he is somebody that is highly rated. But again, the bottom line is he hasn't managed before, and Carlson gave him the opportunity to come in and be a coach with him.
So let me rephrase. If we are to say that he might be Carl Robinson's sidekick, shall we say, are we likely to expect similar football that Carl Robinson likes at Oxford United? And if that is the case, Jack, then what are Pompey fans in store for footballing wise?
Well, I don't really understand the sort of the shake. we don't play bad football. I don't know where this misconception is that we play horrendous football. I don't really know where that comes from. Maybe against Portsmouth, we haven't had the best of games, and they haven't been thrillers. But generally, last season, I don't want to repeat what I said, because last time I had this discussion, it got a little bit heated. But we did. We do generally play good stuff. This season, it hasn't quite gone the way that we would have wanted it to. But again, that's down to a multitude of reasons. I wouldn't sort of say it's going to be exactly the same. It's going to be a carbon copy, because every young, new manager wants to develop his own ideas. He won't want to be known as Carl Robinson's. I use the word apprentice. He won't want to be used as that. He's going to want to be used as somebody that's fresh, that brings a new look to his Portsmouth setup. And I think he will do that over time. And again, highlight the word time. He's going to be a manager that's going to need to be developed. And again, that comes with patience. So I don't know what you're going to get, really. I imagine it probably will be good football. I think that probably will be the case. I know that sounds a little bit simple. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to play, long ball every single week. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he will try and play attractive stuff. But it's down to the players you've got. He's only can work with what he's got right now. And he looks like he's got a pretty dejected Portsmouth squad. So he's got to get really the morale up first, and then look at the playing squad after that.
Pompey Fitness James asks, has this been confirmed? This news should be taken with a grain of salt. Yes, if you wish, you're absolutely more than entitled to take it with a grain of salt. We are all but confirmed. I had a message from a friend of mine who, is. I won't say any more. I'll probably say it's the gents off camera, but yes, we're pretty confident that's going to be the case. Aaron, Jack was mentioning there about giving him time, and he's going to need time to bed in with this group of players and work with what he's got around him. And I think everyone needs to be level-headed and completely be on board with that. The problem is I don't think they will. And I think Pompey fans will want promotion out of this season, or a vast majority of Pompey fans will want promotion, or at least a head towards promotion. People looking at it at the table, fresh ideas and all that kind of thing. And you've got your games in hand. And I say that very carefully, because I know people don't like talking about games in hand, but you have got your games in hand with a fresh impetus and new ideas with a manager. The expectation on him will be big from a lot of people, saying you need to get this club promoted. Otherwise, we've spent far too long, and it's almost an impossible scenario for this guy, isn't it? Coming into a place where he's going to need time to impose philosophy and ideas, but at the same time, he's got high demand on him to get this club out of this league.
Yeah, it's a bit of a poison chalice at the moment, I think. Especially if he gets announced Friday. He's not going to be taking the squad for the game on Saturday. And then he'll have one day on Monday, then travelling to the next game. So he's not going to have that many days training with the players or doing anything with them. First of all, he's going to have to get a goalkeeper in because, we lost Griffiths and we need someone to replace him. It's going to be difficult. You're going to have to give him 2 weeks. Some Portsmouth fans won't like that at all. They go, no, he needs to come in. We need to win straight away. But in reality, that never happens. You've got to give him time to bond, get a relationship with the players, get them training into new tactics, new formation. Try something. If he's going to try something new, the players have got to try and gel to that situation. So I would like to give him time, but I don't think half the fan base will give him time. If they don't start winning within the next couple of weeks, then it's just going to be even more toxic than it is. Saturday is going to be toxic enough anyway with some of the protests and everything. Yeah, I agree with protests, but make sure it's respectful and everything, and it's calm and it's nice. Remember, there is family there as well. But yeah, he's got a lot of work to do in 2-3 weeks. And if we don't start winning, it's going to get very toxic.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people asking if this has been confirmed. We should make it clear that no, it hasn't been confirmed as of yet. But as I said, we're pretty. I mean, there's enough journalists and enough trustworthy people who've come out and said that it's almost a dead certain today. So I would probably psych yourselves up for the fact that he will probably be joining us. Jake has said, from an outsider's point of view, it's a risky appointment. I'm sure it'll be a nice refresh for the club. But if things start to turn and he doesn't pick up results early doors, then there could be bother. There was another comment on here that I wanted to click on that said, Philip said this: team low in confidence, coach not managed the first team before, Pompey close to being in a relegation second battle in the second half of the season. What could possibly go wrong? So I suppose this is said with a little bit of a wink maybe and a smile. Barney, was there anything that you wanted to mention about the comments about Oxford United's manager in the past, and maybe we might want to take a little backtrack on it, just have a little bit of fun with it. But go on.
No, go on. I must admit, I wouldn't have said that we got heated. Not certainly at you, Jack. Just at Carl Robinson and his brand of football at times. I think it was just that particular game. I just remember them playing a lot of time wasting tactics when they were 1-0 up that suddenly stopped when we came back to 1-1, I believe.
Which is a credit to you, really, because I didn't say that when we had the original conversation, but that's a credit to you that we felt we had to revert to those tactics, because we were, at that time, you were playing some really good stuff for a good position in the league. So I would like to add that.
Yeah, no, I think it's mad how far and how quick things turned. That around that part of the beginning of the season, we were fantastic. So I've actually forgotten talking about Oxford. Yeah,
you don't have to talk about Oxford if you don't want to. Talk about someone else if you wish.
I hope he has less of Carl Robinson, and with respect to Carl Robinson, I won't refer to him as what I called him last time. I just hope that Mousinho has learned from Robinson of what not to do. I'm sure there's good bits you can take from every coach, but I hope that he can learn from that and create his own brand.
Yeah, let's hope so. I'm hoping for
a polite way of putting it.
Yeah, it is a polite way of putting it. I hope that we have a Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta kind of situation, and we go right to the top of the league. Alex, I wanted to ask you about the kind of the ambition, and people saying, "Oh, this appointment lacks ambition." What would you say to those people?
Well, just before I mention that Arteta comment, I'm not being funny. I know it's slightly different, but that's sort of the same scenario. It's just happened in the Premier League. He's never, he wasn't a manager, and he's then gone to Arsenal, and he's done well, and they might win the league this year. Obviously, slightly different. He's under Pep Guardiola, one of the best managers that's ever lived. But the whole process is similar. We're League One. Maybe we are the Arsenal of League One. I'm not sure that Oxford are the Man City though. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what Barney's saying as well, things change as well. We were very good at the start of the season. Oxford were not as good. Things have flipped, and that's why an old friend of ours, Cookie, used to say, "Don't get too high and don't get too low," because the thing is, if you do that, then you're just constantly in a cycle of too high and too low, and you never really level out. And I just think there's a lot of that on especially socials for Pompey, and if we do that, then you're expecting greatness from people that maybe can't provide that. But what I would say about the appointment and the ambition, I think maybe one of the angles looking at it is this is a player almost. I know that he's probably going to retire as we say next year, but this is effectively a player, centre half, who's probably going to take no nonsense really whilst on the pitch. He's been a captain, he's been a leader, and it's a bit of it reminds me a bit, it's a John Terry sort of thing. He's probably in the dressing room, he's very much part of it, he's the presence. And now he's coming into the management side of the game, which a lot of centre halves do. Darren Moore, I think, is one of them. But it's obvious that he's going to bring maybe that personal level to these players, and maybe that a lot of these players, I don't know, lost faith in Cowley and actually didn't like the fact that some of the things that he was saying and maybe coming across a bit patronising. Some of the stuff he said, I think he was very happy-go-lucky, and I think at the time some of the players maybe fell out of love with that. It's just an assumption, and I think maybe an ex-player or current player coming in, it's very much like these players are going to be able to be very much on the same level as this guy. Ambition-wise, I don't think the Eisners couldn't have won unless they'd appointed probably Wilder for people to turn around and instantly say, that's the ambition, that we're going to the very top, but they want to do it right now. Even with Foster and anyone else, I think that they would have still said, it's a bit more of a conservative appointment. It's ambitious because he's not kind of done it properly in the professional game in adult, men's football. So I think that they're probably at a lose-lose. I don't think Wilder was ever an option wage-wise. It's come out, he's earning £2 million a year. We're never going to get that. We're League One. We've got to remember that. I don't think there's probably clubs in the Championship that aren't going to be looking at that. So I don't know how the owners would have won necessarily with the ambition point of view. I think if this goes well, everyone turns around and says, long-term ambition. We've got this long-term manager. He's only 39 years old now. So yeah, it's a big gamble, and that's what we've all said, and I agree fully with that. But I'd say if it goes well, it'll go really well, and as you said, if it goes badly, it could go horribly wrong pretty fast. But let's not write him off, as we keep saying. It's not fair to him.
Dylan said, "Love you, Tom. I'd like to hope you do, mate, because I'm driving you to Peterborough and Fleetwood in the next week or so." So there we go. Pete said, "Terrible appointment, especially when we need some experience when we're in the league, but this shows the Isers' ambition." As we said, Isers needs to leave Pompey for change. Lord Penji said, "Appointing a centre-back means hopefully our gash back line will be whipped into shape. I'm of the opinion that the players have given up, and if they crack on, it doesn't matter who's in charge." Milt also said, "John will have my backing either way. A move like this from the ball can turn out to be a massive success or a massive flop," which Hay was just saying. People say the latter is more likely. Let's give him a go. Barney's changed to Babe Station. Lovely.
And just to add on that, you were just saying about, we might have to sort out our back line. I think that we were playing some good football at the start of the year. These players haven't changed on the whole. So it's not like these players can't play like that. It's just obviously they lost all confidence, and a lot of League One players, it's a confidence-based game more than kind of the Premier League sort of level. Even then, you see if you lose confidence, you lose any ability, it seems, to play football. And I think if you can get these players ticking again and playing in the way they did, then we could be on to a good, better second half of the season. It's just a case of being able to do that, and is he the right man to do that?
Do you think he is?
Why not? Well, why not say yes? We got to back him. And there's no point in us being negative about him. It's not going to help anyone, especially not him. I just hope he hasn't gone on his social media. Obviously, he's going to have probably some level of character and bottle to take a job like this. I just hope he's not looking over Twitter and putting the hashtag Pompey in.
My one concern, and since you said that, this might not have been picked up on by many people, but I did have a little look and see if he was on Twitter. And he had been in the past, and Jack will probably verify this, that Oxford United have tagged him in bits and pieces. He had actually deleted his Twitter account as of this morning when I checked, or this afternoon when all the bits and pieces were coming through. So I would imagine it was a bit of a barrage of Pompey fans, maybe some positive, maybe some negative, and tagging him.
I believe he did it his Instagram as well, Tom, as well.
He's deleted Instagram as well. So there we go. So he's either
maybe he's preempting. Maybe he's just preempting and knows he's going to get a lot of stick. Maybe not necessarily stick, that's probably the wrong word, but a lot of comments on this. And maybe he's thinking at the start, let me just be blind to it, and let's see where we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think many high-level coaches of any level have social media. Very, very few, and they're perhaps often only ones that have very recently gone from player to manager in this modern era where social media is even a thing.
Yeah, I had to say he privated it. Sorry, He's privated it, not deleted it. But you do now have to, it's a follow request system, so you can't just DM out of the blue, unfortunately, anymore. Thank
you for clarifying that, Jack. We're all about fact checking here on Fournilwrittenalloverit, so massively appreciate that. Brendan, go on, Aaron. Give us a question, mate. Go on.
Quick question for you all. If he is appointed tomorrow, do you think it's a good idea for him to sit in the director's box on Saturday with the protest, so he can actually listen to all the toxicity, or do you think he should stay away?
I don't think there should be a protest. Why should I think that we can protest all we like, but if we get a new manager in, I don't think this is the time to do it. I know that maybe people would say you need to do it kind of and act when the time is now, but I think if you get a new manager in, what is a protest against someone that's not him going to do to help him? He's the man at the moment that we need to back and put all our faith in and show him, this is why you're part of this football club and this is why we are such a good football club to be part of. So that's my view, but yeah.
Brendan, talk to me about the goalkeeper situation. You mentioned it to me earlier on. We may have some news.
Well, I've got my gloves in my kit bag ready to go in case you want to start that. But no, a lot of stuff's been bouncing around on Twitter. I think there's a bloke who said he's a football agent who's a West Ham fan, who's also an agent in the League of Ireland over in Ireland, and they've been mentioned. He said, Pompey are looking to sign a League of Ireland player in the coming week. So and obviously we need a goalkeeper, and they've come out and said that we're looking to sign a goalkeeper by the deadline tomorrow. Obviously, but hope maybe a loan or even a full-on signing. So putting two and two together, it could well be a League of Ireland goalkeeper coming in on loan, or if not a permanent signing. I think when we first signed Ronan Curtis out of the League of Ireland and how good that coup was at the time, it could definitely work out. There's some hidden talent on foreign lands.
Jake would like to know if it's a step forward or step back from Danny Cowley. Brendan, what do you think?
I think on paper, at the moment, I'd say it's potentially a step back because he's not a proven manager. So, in that sense of things, yes, it is a step back. However, we'll find out when the boys start playing, and he's into his groove at the club, and we'll see how we go from there. It's too early to say if it's a step back, or if it was to say confirm what it actually is. But looking at it from afar, it does look like a step back. But we'll have to wait and see.
Barney, step forward or step back?
Yeah, again, I agree with Brendan. I think on paper, you can't deny it looks like a step backwards, but we have to be positive. You have to look at the amount of managers that have come in from being a recent footballer and become an even better coach than they have been a player. I would almost already say Arteta, to look at the top level, has exceeded what he ever did as a player. He didn't really win much as a player, and then he's already won the FA Cup with Arsenal and is so far romping the league. Can we get a League One Arteta? Let's just cross our fingers and hope that he's that.
Jack, how do you think the rest of League One's going to be viewing this news? We're obviously sat here and you have a vested interest in this bloke as much as we now do as news that he will most likely be taken over at Pompey. Do you think the rest of League One's going to be sat there going, what on earth are they doing? Or do you think actually people are going to turn around and say, no, I think this is a kind of an appointment to be reckoned with because of the success of people like Stephen Schumacher and Kieran McKenna?
I think, do you know what it is? It's that it's what you could have had and what people were saying you were going to have to what you've now got. If you had sat Danny Cowley and you brought in John Mousinho the next day, everyone would have gone, that was a smart decision, that you knew what you were doing. You were approaching straight away and you got it done. No question about it. But because you've been linked to every unavailable youth team manager, every sacked League One manager, Championship manager for about 3 weeks, and now you've ended up with our set piece coach, it does look really scattergun. It does look like you didn't have a clue from the start. So whatever happens, every other League One fan's going to be thinking probably the same as everyone here. Let's just see what happens because you have nothing to back it. We have no idea. I hope he does really, really well. You know, I hope he goes and shows the coach that everybody thinks he's going to be at Oxford. I really, really do. I mean that because there is a loyalty there. You know, he's been our club captain. He is part of our coaching team. There is a sense of loyalty, but this is a huge step up. If you like, and I come back to the point I rightly said of this conversation, it's going to take time. It's going to need patience. You keep mentioning Arteta. He needed a lot of time. There's about 3 or 4 times he should have been sacked, probably down to performances and result. And he got time when he got backed by the owners. Now, is the Cullen and whoever you've got in at the moment, all these names are confusing me. But whoever's in charge of it, whoever sat Danny Cowley, clearly didn't run out of patience with him. I mean, he ran out of patience with Danny Cowley, and he's an established Premier League manager, not quite established manager. An established Premier League manager like Mikel Arteta now needed a real sense of backing, needed financial backing. Obviously, not to the scale I imagine Mousinho is going to get at Portsmouth, but he's going to need a bit of backing like that. But he's going to need the backing, like I say, more than just financially. I think support, he's going to need that. He's going to need a level of support from the players. I hope it's not a case when the players are underwhelmed by him as well, because they can easily look at him and go, who's this bloke? You know, we were playing against him last season at Fratton Park. You know, Ronan Curtis probably skinned him a couple of times last season. And again, it's that level of respect. And although that sounds like I'm joking, that did happen. That is a reality. That's very rare, but that is the case. So there has to be a level of respect from the playing staff as well. They have to be like, right, this is quite serious now. You know, although you were a player about 2 days ago, you're now our manager and you are now having to tell us what to do. And you're going to lead us out to Fratton Park potentially against Exeter on Saturday. So there's got to be respect. There's got to be backing across the board. And I hope he does get that, because I like John Mousinho. I liked what he was about. And like I said right at the start, I thought he would be the successor to Robinson at Oxford. That isn't to be. And I can't blame him for now going on to, I'll say it, you know, he's bigger and better things. Going from a set piece coach at Oxford to a head coach at Portsmouth. That is that's, like I said earlier, that's like a canteen lady to a Michelin star restaurant chef. That is a very big upgrade in a short amount of time.
Absolutely. Adrian said, we are protesting against the owner's lack of ambition on the field. What do you not see about this? It's a massive step back. Buy cheap, buy twice. Pompey laughing stocks because of the Yanks. Jack said, I was a bit disappointed like everyone else was, but he has just as much chance to succeed as anyone. And I remember putting it into the...
I'm just going to go. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I don't want to... You got any more questions really quickly? I'm going to just shoot. Is that all right?
Score prediction with him in charge on Saturday.
I'm backing the Mousinho boys. I'm backing them. You're at home as well. So I said 2-0.
Okay, we'll take that. We'll start to wrap up now anyway, because I'm aware people want to go and watch a Man City Tottenham game. Most of this panel is too young to have even seen the truly toxic. See you later, Jack. Thank you. Seen a truly toxic Fratton Park as it was in the Graham Ricks and Tony Pulis era. Brendan, what I was going to say, but there is, and Aaron has also. I was going to say your dad would have been the perfect person to shed a bit of light on this. Can we grab him for Graham Ricks and Tony Pulis? In a second, we'll go through some more of the comments. Back him, you never know what could happen. Just look at Ipswich and Plymouth, etc., etc. Mike, Graham Ricks, Tony Pulis era, worse than this?
Oh yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it was really bad at times, and the matter I mentioned the other day with the Grimsby game at Fratton Park with the pitch invasion and all this, that, and the other. We've been through worse. We have been through worse. We're in League One. We're not in League Two, and we're not in the bottom of League Two. Yes, we're not in the Championship, and we're not in the Premiership either. But it has been a lot of toxic, like the comment says. But I think the majority of people that turn up this Saturday will want to get behind the team. Pompey do get behind the team. That's what we're known for. We should be doing that. We shouldn't be doing the rest. As I said the other day, I've never booed at Fratton Park in my life, and I never intend to. I might not clap if I don't like it, but I certainly wouldn't boo. That's not in our nature, or it shouldn't be.
The supporters that never let his club die, Mike. That's the one in it. What's your score prediction Saturday? And then Barney will come straight to you.
I'm with the Oxford guy. Yeah, 2-0.
Barn?
I was just going to say, I remember the days, 10 years ago or so, as we were falling down the leagues, Championship, League One going down, lots of chants of "you're not fit to wear the shirt," we want our club back, all that kind of stuff. So it's not been a long time since we've had a lot worse toxic situation than this.
No. It goes further than that, Barney. It does go further back than that. And I've heard that chant. "You're not fit to wear the shirt" so many times. But it's not always the whole of the stand, the whole of the ground. It's small sections sometimes that start it, and then people join in, but not necessarily nowhere near all the stadium. But we have been close to it. I'm sure we have.
Mm.
Was that all you wanted to add, mate, or did you want to?
Yeah, just I was just saying that I feel that this feels like a time of just uncertainty. Everyone, there's a level of anxiety that you just want to see what the first game under this guy is going to look like. I felt like from day one under Cowley, the day we first met Tom at Fleetwood, that was a happy day. there was an aura about him. The way he was down, involved in the coaching, warming up the guys before the game. It felt like he wanted to succeed. There was a passion there. That's what I just want that again, because it felt like we did even lose a little bit of that with the Cowleys towards the end. How many times in his post-game interviews Danny looked depressed? You know, what was causing that? Well, I don't think we'll really ever find out. It may be 20 years before we find that out. So as we've said, let's just get behind Mousinho if he is the man, and hope that we see some passion and some good football again from him.
Score for Saturday with him in charge, Barn?
Score prediction. I don't see he's going to have any impact on this weekend. I still see it's going to be Bassey's team.
If he's in charge, which he probably won't be. But
yeah, I mean, if we've not made an announcement today, then he's not going to be in charge of training tomorrow, is he? Because we've got fences that everyone can look through at Roco. So, if he's in charge, I still think Bassey is in charge. So I can't see us getting anything more than a draw out of the weekend. Maybe 1-1 if we're lucky.
Barn, Bren?
Well, I was going to say, I've just seen a comment come on by Biley put on there. He said, lots of empty seats on Saturday. The atmosphere is gone. There's nothing to bring the fans together. That famous night that everyone talks about, that famous Stockport night, there's only about 8,000 inside the ground. So it doesn't matter how many's there. Look, Tom, we were in the ground for the lockdown game versus Peterborough, yeah, when we won 2-0. There's 4,000 fans inside there. It sounded like there was 15,000 fans inside there. So the amount of fans doesn't matter who it is. Fratton Park will rock no matter what. It doesn't matter how many's there. The fans who want to sing will sing. That's what I want to make my point then.
There's another comment on here that says that no one accepts that we are where we are because of Danny Cowley. Well, he got the sack, so I think that was a mild exception of the situation. He is the chosen John. I wanted to get that in the stream. I saw that earlier. I think that's brilliant as the chosen John. I can't look forward. And as Leo quite rightly said, which sums that up, Brendan, real fans stay behind the team. What's your score for Saturday then, Bren? Look forward to seeing you there, of course. I'm sure you'll be able to give it on camera as much as you will here, but how are you feeling at the moment?
As always, it will be tough, and there's no doubt in that. We got a draw away at Exeter earlier on Boxing Day. I think I can get 1-0 and turn this around and get the fans behind the team again.
Hayward, closing thoughts and a score prediction?
Score prediction, I reckon 1-1, same as Barney. If we can do a 1-0 and scrape through this and we do a point in, this will be the best start ever, just because it will be, lift off and the turning of the corner. But yeah, as Brendan says, we go to away games and it sounds like there's 15,000 in that away end at some of them, and there could be 2,000 of us. So it's a bit like, if the fans that want to sing are going to sing, they will do, and they'll make a racket. And Pompey fans are loud when they're loud. But yeah, I just hope that there's a lot more getting behind Mousinho if he's in, and the team, then potentially, people, shouting about the Eisners who probably aren't even going to be there. So that'd be my closing.
Absolutely. There's I've been there we go. That's what I've been drawing my attention to. Really buying the fish tank on the sideline 4-0 win. I tell you what, that'd be a serious backroom pairing, wouldn't it? Aaron, thoughts for Saturday and a score?
Well, hopefully it gives if it is announced, hopefully it gives the players a boost because they know there's a new man coming in with new ideas, so they need to sell themselves. It's going to be hard because we haven't scored since last year. I don't think it is it? We haven't scored a game.
We scored on New Year's Day against Charlton. Yeah.
New Year's Day, so yeah, almost a year ago. Yeah, so no, it was. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. If we can scrape at one goal, then fair enough. But I think, it's going to be a 1-1.
Excellent. Thank you, gents. We'll see you on Saturday, all at Fratton Park. We look forward to bringing you our adventures. And who knows, we may have another man in charge by then. Will it be Mousinho? Will it be another late show and a curveball? Can't see that happening. Win or lose, up the Blues, all that kind of thing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you Saturday. Play at Pompey. Bye from us.
Hey, boys, keep the faith.
John Mousinho's Blue Army.